Hello and welcome to the Lean Girl YouTube channel. My name is Angie and today I'm bringing you another educational video that is going to help you on your journey to your leanest body ever. So today's video is actually part 2 of a 2-part series on the fantastic app that is going to help you track your calories and your macros called MyFitnessPal. Now, just a reminder, when you are wanting to lose fat and when you have a specific body goal, the key thing that you need to be tracking is your calories and your macros, and that is going to help you to start getting predictable results. And I guess that goes for not only fat loss, but muscle gain too. You still need to be tracking your macros and still be watching your calories. So in today's video, in the first video that I did, I explained a bit about calories, how to set up your calories, I sort of touched on macros a bit too in terms of your protein, how to insert different foods into MyFitnessPal, how to log various items that you may find you need to track. So if you still have questions about that and you haven't watched part 1, then I would suggest you start with part 1 and then you can come back here to this video. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking a bit more about macros, how to set up your macros in MyFitnessPal, and then I'm also going to go into how to create saved meals on MyFitnessPal, which will help you a ton and save you a lot of time. Then I'm going to be talking about recipes, which is always a huge question. How do you track things that are recipes? So if you're making a big family dish, how is it that you accurately track that? And then I'm also going to touch on restaurant eating and how we can go about tracking things when we are at restaurants or eating out, or perhaps you're just not in the kitchen and you don't have a trusty scale. I'm going to teach you. I'm going to teach you, girl. Okay, so let's get straight into the first part, which I want to talk a little bit more about macros. So in the first video, we spoke about, when you're setting your calorie goal, what is important is that you don't use the MyFitnessPal sort of calculator, which is going to determine how many calories you need to be eating. The reason why I say this is because it generally takes your time to goal into consideration. So if Ange says, I want to be skinny AF by next week, it's going to say, okay, right, Ange, you're going to eat 1,000 calories, girl, until we get you to your goal. And often, it's a pretty unsustainable way to get there. Firstly, most people would never actually be able to keep that up sustainably. Secondly, it becomes really not enjoyable because you're permanently starving. Your body is basically screaming, feed me, the entire time, which is never good when you're trying to stay on track. So I would really like you, if you haven't calculated your calories yet, to use my calorie calculator down below in the video, and that is going to help you to get your calorie level. So the first and most important thing when you are trying to work toward a goal is to figure out what your calorie budget is. Then the second most important thing is that beautiful protein, which is going to help you to not only maintain lean muscle mass. I also have a fantastic video series that I've just come out with on building lean muscle and why it is the holy grail when you want to look lean and fit and toned. So check that out as well on my channel if you haven't yet done so. So if we want to optimize not only maintaining as much muscle as possible, but also building muscle going forward, what we need to do is we need to be prioritizing protein in all of our meals. And so a good way to set up your macros, which is your percentages or your ratio of protein, carbs, and fats, is to start with protein. And protein we want to work out not as a percentage, but we want to work it out as a number of grams. So grams goal. So when you go into MyFitnessPal, and I will put some little screenshots up so that you can see where to do it, you first need to go ahead and you need to calculate what your protein goal is. How we work this out is you want to be going for 2 grams per kilogram of body weight. So let's say I weigh 65, that would mean that my goal would be 130 grams of protein per day. Then is the next question is that, okay, so what about the carbs and the fats? If I am like 100% transparent, it doesn't matter. Wherever your fats and carbs fall, as long as you are hitting your protein and you're within a calorie deficit, you are going to be 100% fine. So that is really up to personal preference. If you prefer more carbs and they make you feel more satisfied, you can go ahead and have carbs. If you feel like you enjoy a higher fat diet, once again, as long as you're within your calorie budget, you are A for okay. If you want a guideline on how you should set those up before you decide, okay, I prefer fats or carbs. Whatever calories are left in throughout your budget. So you would say, okay, I'm using so many grams or so many calories for my protein, then you can try a 40-60 split between the rest. So 60% carbs and 40% fat of your leftover calories. You can start there, and that is pretty much how you are going to set up your macros. Next, I want to talk about how to save meals in MyFitnessPal. I use this feature all the time because if you follow me on the gram, you know this girl is on repeat on her meals. And you can actually create your very own saved meals within MyFitnessPal. So if you are eating the same breakfast every single day, if you're eating the similar 4 lunches every single week, you can actually save these as meals in MyFitnessPal, and it will quickly populate everything that you normally have in that meal to save you on time. I really recommend that you do this because, as I said, when we quickly want to put something in, you don't want to be adding each element every single time. So I really recommend that you do this. Next, I want to chat a bit about recipes, as I know that this is somewhere that you girls struggle. So let me give you an example, right? So let's say that we wanted to make a delicious mince for a spaghetti bolognese. How I would go about doing this is you can create a recipe on MyFitnessPal. And what you want to do is you want to add all of the ingredients for the total recipe, okay? And then once your meal is created, what you want to do is you want to weigh the entire portion of the recipe. So once my mince is cooked with my, tomato and onion that I've added, with my carrot that I've added, with my lentils, whatever good things that you're adding to your mince, you are then going to weigh the entire portion of mince. And then on MyFitnessPal, you will be able to add how many grams is the entire dish. Then what you will be able to do is when you are weighing out the portion that you are going to be having, you can quickly see, okay, I'm having 100 grams of my 800 grams total of mince. And that is how you will be accurately tracking that specific recipe in MyFitnessPal. Now, when it comes to dishes that are perhaps a little bit more tricky, so perhaps you have chicken pieces and you've done, carrots and potatoes and broccoli and all things in between, it obviously becomes a little bit more tricky to be able to track accurately, am I getting a chicken leg or am I getting a chicken breast? At times like this, I want you to know what? A meal here and there that's not 100% accurate, just do your best to track as accurately as possible, and a few calories here and there, as long as it's not something that you're doing every single day, I promise you won't impact your results. And what will be, worse for you is to have anxiety around, being absolutely perfect on every single thing. So give yourself a little bit of grace, have a little bit of leeway, and just do the best that you can. And then lastly, I wanted to touch on how to track when you're eating out. So again, just mirroring what I said in the previous point on, the recipe tracking, is that it is so important for your mental health and your sanity to not go completely crazy and, wish that everything is 100% accurate. When you can be accurate, please, accuracy is key when you are trying to get results. But if you think about how many meals you have over a week, say you had 3 meals a day, 21 meals in a week, and 2 of those meals weren't 100% accurate, I promise you are going to be totally okay. But of course, I still like to track my meals as best I can when I am eating at restaurants, unless it's a special occasion and I thought, I'm going to have a free meal. I'm not going to track it. I'm just going to enjoy myself like I did over my birthday. I definitely wasn't tracking on special occasions or days like that. But if perhaps you are someone who likes to eat out often, a couple of tips that I use when eating out is the first thing that I do is I do generally go for more simple foods. So I wouldn't normally have perhaps a big curry where I really cannot see what ingredients are in that curry. So there could be a lot of butter, there could be a lot of cream, there could be, a lot of oils. It is very difficult to accurately track things where you cannot clearly see what is in the food. So that's my first tip. If you are eating out a lot, try and go simple. So go for, some chicken or some fish or a steak or something that you can still have some kind of judgment call on how many calories you're wanting to track for that. Then something else that I also like to do when I'm eating out is I still like to somewhat follow my macros. So I always go with something that is high protein. So I'll go for the chicken or the fish, or something that I know is going to keep me satisfied. And I still try and think about, okay, if this was my macro split, how do I actually look at that on a plate? One thing that I also do tend to do when I'm eating out at restaurants is that I know that there are, for us, we are calorie conscious when we're cooking at home, but for restaurants, their main goal is to get that food as tasty as hell, right? So they will add sauces, they will add oil, they will add butter, they will add a lot of extra things to make that food tasty, which, I mean, nothing wrong with that at all. But what I also always do is I do account for some extra oils in the actual cooking. So even if I ask them, please don't use a lot of oil, or don't add the lemon butter sauce, I will still know that they will use a little bit of cooking oil or butter. Most restaurants will not be using spray and cook and non-stick pans. So what I do often tend to do is I'll rather order, my protein with a big portion of salad or veggies, and I won't actually have an additional carb, knowing that I'm going to be allocating those calories to the extra oils and butters that are probably being used, or the sauces in the dish. And then another thing, lastly, that I do when I'm eating out is I really do like to choose what it is that I want to have. So, when you're eating out, sometimes they have table bread and you're going to be having some wine and there's dessert and there's just so many different things. So I like to say, okay, my philosophy is you can have it all, just not all at once. So am I going to have the wine, or do I want some of the table bread, or do I want to perhaps share a dessert with Gilan? And rather be more strategic rather than having a total blowout every time that you're eating out. And so yeah, that was just the last note that I wanted to share with you on the restaurant eating and tracking. Okay, my girls, so that wraps it up for part 2 of the MyFitnessPal series. I hope that you really enjoyed this. I hope that it is going to help you to use the app better and use it as a fantastic tool to start tracking your calories and macros more easily. And remember that what is also fab is that all of my lean girl recipes are already inputted into MyFitnessPal, so that if you search any of the lean girl recipes that are inside the kitchen coach, they're already loaded there with the correct calories and the correct macros, making things super simple and easy for you. I hope that I covered all of your questions in the first and second part of this video. Please drop me any questions down below. I do try and get to all of the questions and all of the comments, so let me know if there's anything that I left out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Sending you all so much love and happy tracking those calories. Hey my girls, and welcome to part 2 of my feet are so hot. This fire looks good, but she's sweating. Just doesn't have the same effect, that glow behind me. Hello my girls, and welcome to another educational video on how to not talk as much. Start building your leanest body ever, because that is the key, my girls. What gets tracked? I'm really talking rubbish.